Ciao, jewelry makers and travelers and adventurers. My name is Joey Balistreri, and this is a very brief getting to know me video. I know that I have a very long Italian last name that is probably difficult for most of you, so I simply call my business Joey's Jewelry. And I, in the outset, said travelers and adventurers because, along with making jewelry and creating and having fun at the work table and tutorials, I love to travel. And when I travel, I always search for beautiful bead shops and markets and shows. And on my channel, I plan to take you all along on those adventures. So that's what we'll be doing going forward. But I wanted to just thank you for giving me a few minutes to introduce myself, and I hope you'll stay to the end because since this is a getting to know me video, I will take you to my work table and show you a little bit of my history in jewelry making and design. So I made my first necklace when I was in 5th grade. I had an art teacher who taught the students how to make paper beads, and that started it all. And I still make those handmade beads, but I've come a very long way. I started making jewelry long before YouTube existed, so my learning was a lot more painstaking than it is now. YouTube is wonderful because when you want to learn something or even refresh a skill that you haven't had for a long time, we have hundreds, if not thousands, of choices of teachers and tutorials and voices. So I'm really grateful that we have that now. But after that 5th grade necklace project, I made necklaces for everyone, my mother, my sister, my aunt, and they were strung on I don't even know what with little seed beads in between, and I don't even have one of those first necklaces anymore. I was a teacher in my parents' privately owned school for quite a few years, and then I left the family business to pursue visual merchandising and a career in interior decor. And I had my own design firm and really loved my work and loved my business. But then when my son was 3 years old, he was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And the neurologist explaining to me what was going to happen to my son and that he would not walk for very much longer, it just shifted everything in life. So I ended up closing my business to be a school volunteer and to keep my son in physical therapy and sort of fight the disease with him. So I still have private clients in the interior decor business and still love that, but making jewelry has been a real source of joy and another way to continue with color schemes and decorating. So for those of you who think you might enjoy my content, I would be so grateful for your support by subscribing to my channel and liking my videos and commenting on my videos. I've been many, many years wanting to do this and journeying to this point to feel that I can be on YouTube, and I am committed to bringing my background in teaching, my background in interior decor, and quality and credibility to my content. So I'm not going to say any more about that. I just wanted to thank you so much for spending a little time to get to know me. And as I said, let's go to the work table and let's look at some finished pieces together. I have moved to my work table so that I can show you my body of work going back many, many years. So years ago, maybe 30 years ago, I taught myself how to do this tatting, which is a lace technique that was used before machines could make lace. And the Victorian ladies used a device called a shuttle to do the tatting, but I learned to do it on a tatting needle. And you'll find that as my channel proceeds, that a lot of our jewelry making techniques and supplies like the little seed beads and buttons can cross over into gift-like projects. So this is a lavender sachet, and I did the silk ribbon embroidery using different millimeters of silk and satin ribbon and beads and mother of pearl baby buttons. I did the embroidery and then, added the little seed bead dangle and made the edge out of pink tatting and put a little sachet of lavender inside. So that is just one of my favorite silk ribbon embroidery pieces. And then back in the 80s, we wore a lot of brooches. And so this is a brooch that I made. The back of this brooch is a piece of vintage drapery fabric, cream damask drapery fabric that I bought at an antique shop, and I cut it up and used it for many projects. And then you can see that I've done the silk ribbon embroidery and the beading on top of that same fabric on the front, and lacquered this beautiful little frame and put the pin on the back. And yeah, I used to wear this a lot in the 80s. Let's set that over here. And then, as I mentioned, I started my jewelry journey making paper beads, and I still do them. But my beads have come a long way. This is another one of my tatted doilies that I have done, and this is just a small selection of the boho beads that I make. And I do, let me choose. These are a couple of the paper ones. And so I do still do them out of paper and lacquer them, and I usually put the end caps on the end so that they are ready to string. But I use mixed media for these, and I use fabrics, sari silk, pearls, fibers, threads, tiny wire, sequins. I will rip fabric like I did on this one. When I'm out shopping, when I go to the craft stores, I will go through the ribbons and go through the drapery department. I'm always looking for supplies that can add a nice texture and dimension to my handmade beads. And I do them in all sizes, and I always, pretty much always, put some sort of a bead cap on the end so they are polished and finished and ready to create as bookmarkers, necklaces, or anything that you want to do. This is one that I am going to do a future project. There will be an upcoming video. It is a bookmarker. I already did the boho bead, and this end is empty because I want to do this with you guys on camera. So that is what started my journey in jewelry making, was making my own handmade beads. And then I went through a period where I just loved bead weaving. So that was pretty much all I did for quite a few years, was all sorts of patterns in bead weaving. And I did that, and I think some of you will probably agree that maybe you cycle around from your style of jewelry, but this was just something that I fell in love with. I love the look, and in the 90s and early 2000s, I guess I wore a lot of this kind of thing, so I was enthused about making it. And then I sort of graduated into doing bead weaving, but that looked more of a cuff. So I would have these in every color for when I got dressed, and use these type of clasps on the end. And then when it's clasped, it looks like a cuff, but it actually is bead weaving. But this one in particular is very time consuming. So yeah, I cycled through that, and then as I look back at my past work, I realize that I have always had a love for lamp work beads. And these were some of my early just line bracelets, where I just fell in love with this little lamp work fish. And I still, to this day, when I'm shopping, I am constantly looking for tube beads or barrel beads or oval beads, so anything that's slightly different and unusual shape. They just really speak to me. So as I look back on older work that I had done, my taste have stayed a lot the same. I've always drawn to lamp work and unusual shaped beads. So this is just some of my early pieces that I have worn and worn and worn. And I love to make beaded chains, and I love Y necklaces. So sometimes for relaxation, I will sit, and these are pieces that I made for myself. And so like this is just a simple over the head beaded chain, and I wanted to do it I know I realize I have a lot of things behind on my mat, but I wanted to do it in a very delicate way and in my favorite colors, pink and purple and gold. So I have worn that an awful lot. And then this is a Y necklace that I made, and I We'll talk to you a little bit as we go forward in some of my projects about repurposing things, but the center focal point on this Y necklace is a repurposed vintage earring that I took apart. I cut the clip back off of it because it had such wonderful connection points. So yeah, this is just one of my favorite pieces. This is a Y necklace that I made and I wear it all the time. And I think I've changed the clasp on it a couple of times. I finally switched to a little magnetic clasp. But you will see going forward, I love to do beaded chains and it's very relaxing to me. So this is another piece that I made for myself, and it's a beaded chain, and this is going to be in an upcoming video because this one actually needs some repair, and I have an idea for how to do that, and I'm going to share that with you. But I brought this one out to show you that I actually bought a pair of these parrot earrings at TJ Maxx, and I just love them. I would never wear that as an earring for me personally, but when I looked at it, I thought, what a wonderful pendant it would make. And I wore this all summer with a really bright pink silk tank top and white jeans. And I made it specifically to wear to go to Anna Maria Island with a friend. So that is something else we can do when we're out, when we're traveling and shopping, is look for pieces that could be repurposed or elements or components that we love. Maybe we don't love them in that particular piece, and sometimes you could get really great deals. So I brought that out to show you, and then I went through a stage of making leather knotted bracelets, and these are a couple that I made for myself that I love with some vintage glass. This one I particularly love because it has an antique button that I bought at an antique shop probably 40 years ago and saved it and saved it and saved it, never quite knowing what its home would be, and it ended up being the closure on this purple, metallic purple leather bracelet, and I did some dangles, and it has a lampwork bead in it. As I look back on my past work, I see that it has these lampwork beads too. I see how much I have always loved sort of the same elements in design. And then this one, I started to really think about African beads and working on a trip possibly. And so this also had a button closure and some little wooden animals, and I bought these in a jewelry lot and cut them away from whatever they were on. I can't even remember what they were on at this point, but I fell in love with the little giraffe and the little bear, and I just designed the whole bracelet around the little wooden animals. So I don't wear a lot of leather jewelry, but I did go through a period where I loved making these knotted bracelets. And then when my mother passed away, there was a necklace that she had purchased for me many years ago with rose quartz. And I just love rose quartz, but I never wore the necklace. I had it in my jewelry box for many years, even before I lost my mother. And then it sat in my jewelry box for another 12 years after I lost my mother. And I finally said, I need to do something with it. So I took the necklace apart and harvested the rose quartz beads, and they appear in my dangles on this cha-cha bracelet that I made for myself. And we have a local bead shop not too far from here that has the most beautiful solid bronze toggles, and I purchased a special toggle for this bracelet, and it's full of check glass leaves and all my favorite things: pink flowers, pink roses, some gold-filled tube beads that are sort of cut out. So that was a piece that I just love, that I made specifically for myself, and I wear that. And then, I do a lot of different things, but I had purchased these check glass birds in quite a few colors, and I love pink, so this was my favorite color. And I have always loved making these birds' nest. I have one that I wear on pink leather in the spring, and so I designed this little bracelet with the bird's nest focal piece and the little bird above it, and it's just a sweet, beautiful little bracelet, and I tend to wear this one in the spring. And then, there's just, I go through, I went in the summer, I tend to start making anklets. So this was one that I designed this past summer. And this is one of my very first pieces when I started hanging out in the jewelry shop. I bought a sterling silver teapot bead frame and put a glass pearl inside. And then I just wire wrapped all the little dangles on sterling silver head pins, and it was just a bracelet that I haven't worn this in a while, but it was one of the first pieces I made for myself. It actually needs to be polished, but that is just something from my early days in jewelry making that I did. And then I started being interested in sort of fruits and vegetables and different ways to do wire wrapping and use the check beads. So last year I made this. I don't do a lot of seasonal things, but last year I made this little set for myself with antique bronze. The this magnetic clasp is grabbing this chain. I used an antique bronze chain, and I did a really large bail so that I could change out this pendant for other things and use it seasonally. So this was a piece that I specifically designed for myself, and I normally don't wear the earrings with the necklace. I do one or the other. But I have a video coming on this too, because the techniques for the leaves and the wire wrapping can be used with other things besides the fluted beads that look like pumpkins. So that is just a very small sampling of my history in jewelry making and design. This video would be like a month long if I pulled out everything. And I have been selling my jewelry. At first I didn't sell my jewelry, and then I was selling it online and at shows. And now I've sort of shifted to YouTube and traveling, and of course through it all I take care of my son. So I just wanted to show you a little bit of my history, a little bit of what I know how to do and what I love doing. And so in the comments, if there's anything here that you were interested in seeing a longer video or more detail in, please let me know. And again, I would be so grateful to all of you for supporting my channel. This is something I have wanted to do for many, many, many years, and my journey to getting to YouTube has been long and laborious, and I just feel like it's going to be, the next part of the journey is going to be really great and really fun. So far, I am totally having a wonderful time sharing my work and my ideas with all of you. Thank you so much for giving me your time today, and please like and subscribe, and ciao, I will see you in the next video. Often when I am filming or at my work table, I have this little assistant, which you guys don't usually know that she's right there with me as I'm working, filming, talking. Her name is Bella. Bella Cat. She's my supervisor for all my work. Love you, Bella.